Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. Today with me, I have Sheriff Greg Champagne, Dr. Ken Oertling, as well as Armond Bourque, President of the Firemen's Association, to give an update on the 2022 hurricane season. Last year, St. Charles Parish witnessed Mother Nature's wrath when Hurricane Ida, a strong Category 4, impacted our area. The devastation seen around this parish was terrible. However, we all came together and came through as a community to start the restoration project. And while we have made significant progress in restoration, the effects of that storm will be with us for some time. That being said, and I know no one wants to talk about future hurricanes, but we must be prepared and ready if Mother Nature decides to throw another storm our way. We have a more active than normal hurricane season predicted for 2022. The predictions for this year's storm season include 14 to 21 named storms. 6 of 10 of those are predicted to be hurricanes. 3 to 6 of those are predicted to be major storms, being a Category 3 or higher. Everyone should be taking the time now to make a plan for this hurricane season and not wait until a storm is in the Gulf of Mexico. Hurricanes are beginning to form in the Gulf of Mexico much more quickly and rapidly intensifying when they receive the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. We saw this last year with Hurricane Ida, and we saw it the year before that with Hurricane Laura, and before that again in 2018 with Hurricane Michael, which impacted Florida. If you start planning now, you'll be better prepared. I know we've all been through a lot with Hurricane Ida, and the recovery, again, is still with us. And this is not meant to scare any of our residents, but this is merely the reality that we have to live with at this time. At the parish level, we have been laser focused on ensuring the vulnerabilities exposed by Hurricane Ida have been addressed to ensure the safety of our residents. We've completed the cleaning of all major canals and outfalls that had blockages after Hurricane Ida, and we continue to push parish infrastructure projects forward and improvement projects, as well as an emphasis on maintenance of our existing systems. Additionally, we have identified and begun the process of bolstering some of our pumping stations, major sewer lift stations, and our water system to ensure that they perform in the worst conditions. For the last 8 months, my directors and I have been meeting with EOC staff to discuss what went right and what needs improvement. And in those meetings, we talked about everything from communications to garbage to even pod sites. This morning, we met as an entire team with all of our directors to make sure that we were all on the same page for our 2022 storm season. And we have made the improvements and changes to our planning to ensure that we are best prepared for anything that comes our way. So as we have been planning, residents should be planning too. Again, don't wait. You should ensure that you have an emergency kit. You should know your evacuation routes, and you should make plans for your family, the elderly members of your family, and your pets. The Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness has a website full of resources dedicated to this. It's getagameplan.org. Again, that is getagameplan.org. There you will find helpful resources such as what items you need to include in your disaster supply kit. It's also important that if the parish calls an evacuation, that you take these calls seriously. I've heard many stories after Hurricane Ida of residents who stayed and feared for their life due to the tremendous conditions. Let me tell you, it's not worth your life. And thank God no one was killed during that storm. Almost everyone I spoke to that stayed for Hurricane Ida has said they wish they wouldn't have stayed and that they will never stay again if an evacuation is called. So again, please heed the warning of an evacuation if one is called. These decisions are not made lightly. Those are decisions that are made with all of the people who are standing up here in this room. And when we make that call, we are doing so to try to protect as many lives as possible. If you do not evacuate, the first 72 hours is on you. You should be prepared to be without essential services such as electricity, water, sewer for 3 days or more. And you should be prepared to have at least 3 days of supply of water, food, medication, and other essential items for you and your family. It's important that you have multiple ways to receive communications as well. I encourage all residents to sign up for our emergency alert system, and residents can sign up for customized alerts at St. Charles Parish by visiting www.scpemergencyalerts.com or by texting the word SCP Alerts to 888-777, and you will receive alerts. Again, that website is www.scpemergencyalerts.com, or you can text SCP Alerts to 888-777. We are all praying for a quiet storm season, but rest assured that myself, the staff here in St. Charles Parish, all of the people who are standing up here with me today are prepared if something comes our way. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to our Sheriff, Greg Champagne, to make a few comments about this year's upcoming storm season.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I know that this is the last thing everybody wants to be talking about. It's the last thing I want to be talking about. When I drove over this morning, I made a note that I've still got 2 neighbors that live within 100 yards of me who are not back in their homes from Hurricane Ida. Another 2 on each side of me have just repaired their homes sufficient to be back in them as well. So this is not a topic that we are getting any pleasure talking about, but we have to be realistic. And I think the parish president said it best. I don't want to be too repetitive, but make some plans now. Get your evacuation bag and box ready, whatever it is, so that you can be prepared to go, especially if we get a bad threat. We don't know what exactly we'll get. You know, I guess it's kind of like Forrest Gump and the box of chocolates, but I think it's reasonably likely that we're going to receive some type of threat, whether it be from a tropical storm, a lower level hurricane, which we do get it, we hope it's that, or God forbid, something worse. So we need to be thinking about it. We need to be prepared as much as we do not want to. I would say that from our standpoint, just briefly, the sheriff's office, we learned from each event. We learned from Hurricane Katrina a whole lot, which made us a lot better after Hurricane Ida to be able to serve and watch over your homes and property. We've learned a lot from Ida in terms of one of our biggest issues was fuel. We rely upon local gas stations, convenience stores for our fuel, and we had generators ready to go, help them, knowing power would be out. But even that didn't work because the ones we relied upon close were so damaged that even a generator couldn't even get them working to pump gas. So we've now brought in our own safe and all regulated with all the proper certifications, a portable tank at our complex in Luling to where we know we got enough gasoline to operate for 2 days before trucks can come in and refuel us. So we filled that gap. Otherwise, our personnel are always prepared. We stay around. They stay on campus if need be to where we can be out there immediately after the storm. One final thing is, as the president just put in a plug for the parish's online alert system, we have an app, the St. Charles Parish Sheriff app, which I think a lot of people find very helpful. Even now, it mimics the National Weather Service storm alerts right now. Also, you can get pretty quick notice of major road closures. So a lot of people who are on it praise it. And if you haven't gotten it and downloaded it, just go to the App Store, St. Charles Parish Sheriff's Office, and download our app. I think you'll be pleased that you did that. So other than that, we're going to hope for the best, but we're going to be prepared and take care of each other. And as the president said, make a plan. Just do it right now. Get your batteries, get your evacuation bag ready if we need it. And so be prepared. And then other than that, we're just going to pray. We're going to pray that we're going to be spared this year. So thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. And I just want to take a brief moment to thank you and your deputies and staff for all the work that they did during Hurricane Ida. They played a vital role in our recovery. Not only do they work to protect our property on the best of days, but they're here on the worst of days, clearing roads, securing pod sites, working to get supplies to our elderly residents. So again, thank you, Sheriff, and your deputies for being there for the parish at all times and going above and beyond. At this time, I'd like to ask Dr. Ken Oertling, the Superintendent of St. Charles Parish Schools, to come and talk about the upcoming storm season and how it relates to our school system.
Thank you, President Jewell, and good afternoon, everyone. First, I also want to thank President Jewell, his staff, the sheriff and his staff, and all the public entities in St. Charles Parish at EOC as well for their tremendous efforts and support of the school system so that we could return in a relatively short period of time after Hurricane Ida. Very much appreciated. St. Charles Parish Public Schools stands ready to react or to respond to any type of hurricane threat that we may have that enters the Gulf. I want to reiterate what President Jewell and Sheriff Champagne also said, that families have a plan to bring technology devices with you if you evacuate so that students can still access materials and support. We will go out of our way to make sure that our students are provided some level of support regardless if students are evacuated or not. We also are committed to returning our schools to full operation in the event they are shut down for any specified period of time. And we are committed to doing that to make sure that our families can return when appropriate to do so, so that our kids can be educated. And I just want to also put in a plug, not an app, but certainly social media, St. Charles Parish Public Schools webpage, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We are very committed to providing open and transparent communication to our families in the event that they have left St. Charles Parish. So we remain committed to that. That is one of the few things that we learned that we did relatively well from Hurricane Ida. As they also mentioned, we've had follow-up meetings and lessons learned from Hurricane Ida that will make us even more prepared for the next event in the event that it happens. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Oertling, and thank you for all that you did along with the school board members and your staff after Hurricane Ida. A lot of the schools, most of them, I'm sure, had major damage, and they even went as far as to platoon students from two different schools at one school to ensure that they could get students back in the classroom as fast as possible, and we appreciate that. Now, at this time, I'll turn it over to Armond Bourque, who is the president of the St. Charles Parish Firemen's Association, to provide some information on behalf of the fire service.
Thank you, President Jewell. Just want to not cover too many of the other subjects that was done. However, we work with a great team here, people, and leadership in this parish. You can tell we've come a long way from Ida. The fire service is ready to support any which way it can, as well as the EOC here at St. Charles Parish that we work out of. It's a great team we work with. Some of the highlights that I'd like to talk about is generator safety. You've probably heard this through the state fire marshal and these generators that were set to a standard, and those standards are changing because of CO2 detection. One of the things that we want to talk about that is, even though you don't have natural gas at your home, is to really consider putting a CO2 detector. It may be from your neighbor's house, as well as we build houses as close as we can. Make sure that you have a plan, as it was pointed out, for 3 to 5 days. This including food, medication, not only for you, but for your animals and pets. We have a great pet source here, but again, when these things drop bad, it's 3 to 5 days before we can do anything. We've learned a lot from the past, and we're ready to go forward. Again, the St. Charles Parish Fire Service is always ready to assist in search and rescue, whatever it takes. Again, the sheriff does a great job with his team, as well as the parish president and their team, and we're proud to be a part of that. Make sure you have travel plans. Make sure those travel plans are set now, and they should have been set months ago. But again, look over your plan again. Again, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Armond, and thank you for everything the fire service did after Hurricane Ida to ensure that that residents were safe. I know as soon as we were able to go out, the fire service, the sheriff's office was out responding to calls from residents. Before we take questions, I'll just say that my staff, all of my directors, nearly all of my directors during an event are in this EOC pre-storm, post-storm, and representatives from all of the agencies who are up here with me today have staff in this EOC. So this is a huge coordinated effort, not just in preparation for hurricane season, but in preparation for a storm and post-storm activities. So again, I want to thank everybody who was here today, who came out, and thank the folks who aren't here today, like the folks from our St. Charles Parish Hospital, our EMS. Again, this is a team effort, and at this time, I look forward to taking any questions that anybody has. Yeah, so we know that there are over 600 travel trailers that have been put out either by the state or by FEMA. We have one group site currently where approximately 70 travel trailers are being housed. So we know that hundreds and hundreds of families are displaced. And from what FEMA tells us, there are even more families that are displaced who are renters, and they are looking to figure out a solution, a housing solution for those folks as well. But yes, the storm was devastating. We had over 500 homes that were completely destroyed. And of course, when you throw renters in there, you're looking 600, 700 displaced families.
No, ma'am. They've all returned. Several of our buildings still have some permanent repairs that are still left to be done. However, all of our schools are fully functional, sealed. So there's some long-term projects, but all the students are attending school every day.
Well, you know, I'm not a meteorologist, so I rely on those folks to make those determinations. And I know that there's a lack of a La Nina out there that is helping storms to form. And frankly, you know, the Gulf of Mexico is probably warmer right now than it normally is from the lack of some trade winds and some of that tidal movement. But all I know is what we're seeing is that some of these storms, when they're getting into the Gulf of Mexico, they're hitting that rapid intensification. They get into the Gulf of Mexico as an unorganized, maybe tropical storm, tropical depression, and then within 72 hours, they end up as a major hurricane. So we know that our timelines have to be adjusted to make sure that we can still perform all the activities that we need to do pre-storm to make sure our residents are safe. So FEMA put out a public comment period on what they call a draft environmental assessment for various properties. I am not privy to what is said in those comments to that FEMA link. Residents have reached out to me and talked to me about what they believe for these various group sites. I know they've reached out to council members as well. Any group site that's going to move forward in St. Charles Parish that is outside of an R1AM, which is a mobile home designation zoning, will have to receive what we call a special use permit. That means that site will have to go through not only the Planning Commission to make sure it's in line with all of our requirements. I'm sorry, my Planning and Zoning Office. It will then have to go to the Planning Commission, which is a public meeting. And then finally, it will have to go in front of the St. Charles Parish Council for a final determination, whether that is overturning what the Planning Commission says or upholding what the Planning Commission says. But that final determination on a special use project is with the St. Charles Parish Council.
Well, we already talked about this police family, but who you know running around some of the areas in Dexterham and Oertling, there's some families without homes, some without fences, some without, you know, things like that. Any message to them? I know they're struggling to find contractors. One lady has to drive all the way to Hammond to get supplies for her home.
Yeah, look, the current supply chain shortages and really the inflation on everything that we're seeing right now is basically creating a worst case scenario for people who are trying to rebuild. Your insurance company, if they are working with you, probably isn't adjusting what they're giving you for the inflation that we're seeing, the worst inflation since the early 1980s. So it's tough. And I'll tell you that I hear those residents. I'm with those residents. We are working in St. Charles Parish to make permanent repairs right now. And I can tell you, we are not having the best of luck with our insurance companies either. So it doesn't matter if your deductible is $5,000 or $5 million. Everybody's is getting the runaround from these insurance agencies. And what I would tell them is that just take it one day at a time. You know, keep pushing forward. Recovery is a long-term process. But I know every day when I go out into the parish, I see, you know, one or two less blue roofs. I see a fence that was down getting put up with a new fence. So slowly but surely, we're seeing the parish come back to how it was. And I know that for our homes that were destroyed, any homes that get built back under the new building code will be better protected for future storms. All right, thank you all.